Andrés Iniesta, the maestro who conquered the world. In the pantheon of football's greatest artists, few names resonate with the elegance, grace, and sheer brilliance of Andrés Iniesta Luján. This is the story of a man who was told he was too small, too fragile, too quiet to make it in the beautiful game. Yet, against all odds, he became one of the most decorated players in football history, a World Cup hero, and a symbol of everything pure about the sport we love. From the dusty fields of Fuentealbilla to the hallowed turf of Soccer City in Johannesburg, this is the extraordinary journey of El Ilusionista, the illusionist. Chapter 1. The Boy from La Mancha. Our story begins on May 11th, 1984, in the small town of Fuentealbilla, located in the Albacete province of Castilla-La Mancha, Spain. With a population of fewer than 2,000 people, Fuentealbilla was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where life moved slowly, and where dreams often remained just that, dreams. But for young Andrés Iniesta, football was never just a dream. It was an obsession, a calling that would define every moment of his existence. From his earliest memories, Andrés was inseparable from a football. His father, José Antonio, owned a construction business, while his mother, Mari, managed the family. They were humble, hard-working people who instilled in their son the values of respect, dedication, and humility, values that would become the cornerstone of his character. In the narrow streets of Fuentealbilla, young Andrés would dribble past imaginary defenders, his small frame darting between walls and around corners with supernatural balance and control. His grandfather would watch from the doorway, recognizing something special in the boy's touch, in the way the ball seemed magnetically attached to his feet. At the age of 8, Iniesta joined Albacete Balompié's youth academy. Even then, coaches noticed his exceptional vision and technical ability. But there were concerns. He was small for his age, almost fragile in appearance. In Spanish football's increasingly physical youth ranks, many questioned whether such a delicate player could survive. Chapter 2. La MASIA, the making of a maestro. The year was 1996. 12-year-old Andrés Iniesta stood before the gates of La MASIA, FC Barcelona's legendary youth academy. The Gothic farmhouse, situated in the shadow of Camp Nou, had produced countless talents, but few would shine as brightly as the quiet boy from Albacete. Leaving home at such a tender age was traumatic. Iniesta has spoken openly about the tears he shed during those early months, the homesickness that gnawed at him, the loneliness that threatened to break him. His parents would make the 6-hour journey from Fuentealbilla to Barcelona whenever possible, but it was never enough for a boy so deeply attached to his family and his roots. Yet, on the training pitch, something magical happened. When Iniesta touched the ball, all the pain melted away. His coaches watched in amazement as this shy, diminutive midfielder orchestrated play with the wisdom of someone 3 times his age. His first touch was immaculate, his vision panoramic, his decision-making impeccable. At La Masia, Iniesta trained alongside future legends, Carles Puyol, Xavi Hernandez, Victor Valdés. Together, they absorbed the Barcelona philosophy, the famous tiki-taka style that emphasized possession, movement, and technical excellence. But more than tactics, La Masia taught values, humility, teamwork, and respect. These lessons would define Iniesta's career. Through the youth ranks, infantile, cadet, juvenile, Iniesta dominated. He captained Barcelona's youth teams, winning tournament after tournament. In 2001, he was part of the Barcelona B team that earned promotion to Spain's second division. The first team beckoned. Chapter 3. Breaking Through at Barcelona, October 29th, 2002. Champions League, third round. FC Barcelona versus Club Brugge at Camp Nou. In the 60th minute, manager Louis van Gaal made a substitution that would change Barcelona's history. On came a pale, slender 18-year-old wearing number 34, Andrés Iniesta. His debut lasted just 30 minutes, but it was enough to showcase glimpses of his genius. He moved between the lines with ghostly elegance, received the ball under pressure with composure, and released it with precision. The Camp Nou faithful stirred with anticipation. The early years were not easy. Under Van Gaal, then Frank Rijkaard, Iniesta had to fight for minutes in a squad brimming with Galactico talent. Ronaldinho was at his mesmerizing peak, Deco controlled the midfield, and Xavi was establishing himself as the team's metronome. Where did a quiet teenager fit in? Iniesta's answer was simple: everywhere. He proved himself versatile enough to play on either wing, in central midfield, or as an attacking playmaker. His football intelligence allowed him to adapt to any role, any system, any tactical requirement. More importantly, he never complained, never demanded, never caused trouble. He simply worked, improved, and waited for his opportunity. The 2004-05 season marked a turning point. With Rijkaard gradually integrating him into the starting lineup, Iniesta became instrumental in Barcelona's first La Liga title in 6 years. The following season brought even greater glory: Barcelona's first Champions League triumph in 14 years, defeating Arsenal in Paris. Chapter 4. The Golden Era. When Pep Guardiola was appointed Barcelona manager in the summer of 2008, many wondered if the club legend could handle the pressure. His answer was emphatic. He would build his Barcelona around La MASIA graduates, around players who understood the club's DNA. At the heart of this revolution stood Xavi and Iniesta. What followed was arguably the greatest period in club football history. The 2008-09 season was unprecedented. Barcelona won the treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and Champions League. Iniesta was magnificent throughout, but his defining moment came in the Champions League semi-final second leg against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Down to 10 men, needing a goal to advance, Barcelona launched one final attack in the 93rd minute. The ball reached Iniesta on the edge of the box, one touch to control, another to strike. The ball flew past Peter Cech into the top corner. Iniesta ripped off his shirt and slid on his knees in ecstasy. Barcelona were through to the final, where they would defeat Manchester United 2-0 in Rome. The next 4 years brought an avalanche of silverware. 3 more La Liga titles, 2 more Champions Leagues, multiple Copa del Reys, Spanish Super Cups, European Super Cups, and Club World Cups. Barcelona's tiki-taka, orchestrated by the telepathic partnership between Xavi and Iniesta, became the gold standard of football. Alongside Lionel Messi, who blossomed into the world's best player, and under Guardiola's visionary coaching, Barcelona played football from another planet. Their possession statistics were absurd, their passing sequences hypnotic, their dominance complete. Opponents couldn't touch the ball, let alone compete. And at the centre of everything, pulling strings like a puppet master, was Iniesta. He glided through spaces that didn't exist, played passes that defied geometry, and dribbled past defenders who seemed hypnotized by his movement. La croqueta, his signature move, dragging the ball from one foot to another, became iconic. Chapter 5. The Spanish Golden Generation. While Iniesta was conquering club football with Barcelona, another incredible story was unfolding with the Spanish national team. For decades, Spain had been the great underachievers of international football. Talented but temperamental, they consistently failed at major tournaments, earning the unflattering nickname La Furia Roja sin Copa, the Red Fury without a trophy. That changed in 2008. Under Luis Aragonés, Spain arrived at Euro 2008 in Austria and Switzerland with a revolutionary approach. They would play the Barcelona way, dominating possession, suffocating opponents with technical superiority, and breaking down defences with patience and precision. Iniesta, alongside Xavi, Sergio Busquets, and David Villa, was instrumental. Spain dismantled opponents with surgical precision, reaching the final against Germany in Vienna. Fernando Torres scored the only goal, and Spain were European champions for the first time in 44 years. The curse was broken, but the glory was only beginning. Chapter 6. The Road to Johannesburg. The 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa represented Spain's opportunity to cement their status as football's dominant force. They arrived as European champions and favourites, carrying the weight of a nation's expectations. The tournament began disastrously. Switzerland, massive underdogs, defeated Spain 1-0 in their opening match. Panic rippled through Spanish football. Were they chokers after all? Would history repeat itself? But this Spanish generation was different. They had character forged in the crucible of Barcelona's relentless standards. Led by captain Iker Casillas and orchestrated by Xavi and Iniesta, Spain regrouped. They defeated Honduras 2-0, then Chile 2-1 to reach the knockout stages. From there, Spain's beautiful game took over. Portugal fell 1-0 in the round of 16. Paraguay were eliminated 1-0 on penalties in the quarter-finals after a tense encounter. Then came the semi-final against Germany, the team that had won the previous two tournaments between them. Spain were magnificent. They tore Germany apart, winning 1-0 through Carles Puyol's header. For Iniesta, playing in the shadow of Camp Nou's colours alongside so many Barcelona teammates, it felt destined. Spain would face the Netherlands in the final at Soccer City Stadium in Johannesburg on July 11th, 2010. It would be the first World Cup final for both nations. For Spain, it was the culmination of a golden generation's journey. For Iniesta, it would become his defining moment. Chapter 7. The Night in Johannesburg. July 11th, 2010. Soccer City Stadium. 84,490 spectators. Millions watching worldwide. Spain versus the Netherlands for football's ultimate prize. The match was brutal. The Dutch, managed by Bert van Marwijk, employed aggressive physical tactics to disrupt Spain's rhythm. English referee Howard Webb struggled to control the game, eventually showing a World Cup final record of 14 yellow cards and 1 red. Spain dominated possession, but couldn't break through. The Netherlands defended desperately, breaking Spanish ankles more often than Spanish attacks. Chances came and went. Arjen Robben missed a golden opportunity, denied by Casillas. The game remained scoreless after 90 minutes. Extra time beckoned. The tension was unbearable. Spain continued probing, passing, searching for the opening. Iniesta moved between the lines, drifting into pockets of space, receiving the ball, turning, always looking forward. In the 116th minute, with just 4 minutes remaining, Spain launched another attack down the right flank. Cesc Fabregas, brought on as a substitute, received the ball near the touchline. He looked up and played a pass into the penalty area. The ball skidded across the turf, evading Dutch defenders. And there, arriving perfectly, was Andrés Iniesta. Time seemed to slow down. The ball reached Iniesta's right foot. His first touch took it away from the onrushing defender. His second touch, a sweeping right-footed strike, sent the ball past Martin Stekelenburg and into the far corner of the net. Goal! Soccer City Stadium erupted. Iniesta ripped off his jersey, revealing an undershirt with a message scrawled in black marker. Dani Jarque, siempre con nosotros. Dani Jarque, always with us. A tribute to his late friend, the Espanyol captain, who had died suddenly the previous year. Teammates mobbed Iniesta in celebration. On the sideline, Vicente del Bosque remained calm, barely allowing himself to smile. In Spain, the entire nation stopped. Bars exploded with joy, plazas filled with delirious fans. From Barcelona to Madrid, from Seville to Bilbao, from tiny Fuentealbilla to the Canary Islands, Spain rejoiced. The final minutes were agony. The Netherlands pushed forward desperately, but Spain held firm. When Webb finally blew the whistle, the emotion poured out. Players collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down their faces. Casillas lifted the World Cup trophy as confetti rained down. Spain were world champions for the first time in their history. And the man who delivered that glory, the man who scored the most important goal in Spanish football history, was the quiet boy from La Mancha, Andrés Iniesta. Chapter 8. The complete player. Iniesta's World Cup winning goal elevated him from superstar to legend. But what made him truly special was not just that moment, but the consistency of his brilliance across 16 years at the highest level. Unlike flashy wingers or prolific strikers, Iniesta's greatness was subtle. He didn't score many goals or provide countless assists. His contributions couldn't be captured by statistics alone. He was the player who made everyone else better, who controlled tempo, who found solutions when none seemed to exist. His technical ability was extraordinary. His first touch was consistently perfect, no matter the speed, angle, or pressure of the pass. His dribbling was mesmerizing. He didn't rely on speed or tricks, but on balance, body feints, and la croqueta. Defenders couldn't read him because his movements were so fluid, so unpredictable. His vision was panoramic. He saw passes others couldn't imagine, threading balls through microscopic gaps, finding teammates in advanced positions. His decision-making was nearly flawless. He knew when to speed up, when to slow down, when to pass, when to dribble, when to shoot. But perhaps most impressive was his mentality. In the biggest moments, when others wilted under pressure, Iniesta delivered. The Chelsea goal, the World Cup final goal, countless crucial performances in Clásicos, Champions League semi-finals, and finals. He was clutch personified. Chapter 9. Continued glory. After conquering the world in South Africa, Iniesta and Spain were not finished. 2 years later, at Euro 2012 in Poland and Ukraine, they would complete an unprecedented achievement. Spain entered the tournament as favourites and lived up to expectations. They dominated Italy in the group stage, survived a tense penalty shootout against Portugal in the semi-finals, and faced Italy again in the final in Kiev. The result was perhaps the most one-sided major tournament final in history. Spain demolished Italy 4-0, with goals from David Silva, Jordi Alba, Fernando Torres, and Juan Mata. Iniesta, controlling the midfield alongside Xavi and Sergio Busquets, was named Player of the Tournament. Spain had achieved what no nation ever had before, winning 3 consecutive major tournaments: Euro 2008, World Cup 2010, and Euro 2012. The Golden Generation had created a dynasty. At club level, Iniesta continued accumulating trophies with Barcelona. The 2010-11 season brought another Champions League triumph, defeating Manchester United 3-1 at Wembley. The 2014-15 season, under Luis Enrique, delivered another treble. Throughout these years, the debate raged. Who was better, Iniesta or Xavi? The truth was, they were inseparable, 2 halves of the same genius. Xavi was the architect, Iniesta the artist. Together, they formed the greatest midfield partnership in football history. Chapter 10. Individual recognition. In an era dominated by Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi's goal-scoring exploits, Iniesta never won the Ballon d'Or. His best finish came in 2010, when he placed second behind Messi. Many argued he deserved the award that year, having won the World Cup and scored the winning goal. But Iniesta never complained. He accumulated individual honours nonetheless: UEFA Best Player in Europe in 2012, Best Player at Euro 2012, 6 nominations for the Ballon d'Or, inclusion in the FIFA FIFPro World MP 9 times, Prince of Asturias Award for Sports in 2010, and countless other accolades. More important than awards was the universal respect Iniesta commanded. Opponents praised him, coaches revered him, fans of rival clubs applauded him. In an era of social media toxicity and polarization, Iniesta was universally beloved, a testament to his humility, sportsmanship, and pure love for football. His influence extended beyond the pitch. He was a role model for aspiring footballers, proving that size and strength mattered less than intelligence, technique, and dedication. His calm demeanour in interviews, his reluctance to self-promote, his loyalty to Barcelona and Spain, all contributed to his legendary status. Chapter 11. The final chapters at Barcelona. As Iniesta entered his 30s, questions arose about his longevity. Could he maintain his level as his legs aged? The answer was a resounding yes. Even as Barcelona transitioned through different managers, from Guardiola to Tito Villanova, to Gerardo Martino, to Luis Enrique, to Ernesto Valverde, Iniesta remained indispensable. He adapted his game, relying less on dribbling and more on positioning and passing. His football intelligence compensated for any physical decline. The 2017-18 season was bittersweet. Barcelona won the domestic double, La Liga and Copa del Rey, but Iniesta announced it would be his final season at the club. After 22 years, 674 appearances, 57 goals, and 35 trophies, he was leaving Camp Nou. His final match at Camp Nou on May 6, 2018, against Real Sociedad was emotional. The entire stadium rose to applaud him, tears flowing freely. Teammates past and present paid tribute. Even rivals acknowledged his greatness. He was substituted in the 82nd minute to a standing ovation that lasted minutes. Iniesta's legacy at Barcelona was secure. He was one of the greatest players in the club's illustrious history, a symbol of the Barcelona way, a legend who had given everything to the Blaugrana shirt. Chapter 12. New Horizons in Japan. In May 2018, Iniesta announced his next destination, Vissel Kobe in Japan's J1 League. Many were surprised. Why Japan? Why not stay in Europe or move to Major League Soccer? For Iniesta, the decision reflected his character. Japan offered a new challenge, a different culture, an opportunity to promote football in a country passionate about the sport. The financial terms were lucrative, but Iniesta was motivated by more than money. His impact in Japan was immediate and profound. Vissel Kobe's popularity skyrocketed. Attendances increased dramatically. The club attracted other big names, including Iniesta's former Barcelona teammates David Villa and Sergi Samper. On the pitch, Iniesta showed he could still perform at a high level. In 2019, he led Vissel Kobe to their first ever Emperor's Cup triumph, scoring in the final. His vision, passing, and experience elevated everyone around him. Young Japanese players studied his movement, his technique, his decision-making. Off the pitch, Iniesta embraced Japanese culture. He learned the language, participated in community events, and became a beloved figure in Kobe. His professionalism and humility resonated deeply with Japanese values. In 2023, at age 39, Iniesta moved to Emirates Club in the UAE for a brief stint before announcing he would continue his career, this time returning closer to home. Chapter 13. The Statistics of Greatness. Numbers alone cannot capture Iniesta's greatness, but they are staggering nonetheless. With Barcelona, 674 appearances, 57 goals, 140 assists. Trophies: 9 La Ligas, 4 Champions Leagues, 6 Copa del Reys, 7 Spanish Super Cups, 3 UEFA Super Cups, 3 Club World Cups. Total: 32 major trophies with Barcelona. With Spain, 131 caps, 13 goals. Trophies: 1 World Cup, 2 European Championships. He represented Spain at 4 World Cups, 2006, 2010, 2014, 2018, and 3 European Championships, 2008, 2012, 2016. In total, Iniesta won 39 major trophies in his career, one of the most decorated players in football history. He played in and won 9 Champions League finals across various competitions. He scored in 2 Copa del Rey finals, 1 Champions League semi-final, and 1 World Cup final. But beyond statistics, Iniesta's true legacy lies in how he played the game. He completed over 90% of his passes throughout his career, maintained possession under impossible pressure, and made the right decision nearly every time. He was booked just 74 times in over 800 career appearances, a testament to his clean, fair play. Chapter 14. The man behind the magic. Who is Andrés Iniesta beyond the football pitch? By all accounts, he is exactly what he appears to be: humble, kind, family-oriented, and deeply grateful for his blessings. He married his childhood sweetheart, Ana Ortiz, in 2012. They have 5 children together, and Iniesta speaks constantly about how family grounds him, reminds him of what truly matters. His charitable work is extensive but low profile, reflecting his preference for action over publicity. He supports causes related to child welfare, education, and health. The tribute to Danny Jarque in the World Cup final exemplified his loyalty and emotional depth. Iniesta has been refreshingly open about his mental health struggles. In his autobiography, he revealed that he suffered from depression in 2009 following the death of Danny Jarque and the intense pressure of performing at the highest level. His willingness to discuss these issues helped destigmatize mental health conversations in football. He's also a successful businessman, investing in vineyards in his native La Mancha. His wine, Minuto 116, 116th minute, commemorates his World Cup winning goal. He's launched clothing lines and other ventures, always maintaining his brand of elegance and authenticity. Chapter 15. Tactical Genius. What made Iniesta so effective tactically? Let's analyze the components of his genius. First, his positioning. Iniesta played as a left-sided interior midfielder in Barcelona's 4-3-3, or sometimes as a left winger. He constantly drifted into half spaces, those dangerous zones between opponents' defensive and midfield lines. From there, he could receive the ball facing forward, with options in multiple directions. Second, his scanning. Before receiving the ball, Iniesta would constantly check his shoulders, gathering information about teammate and opponent positions. This allowed him to make instant decisions upon receiving possession. Third, his body orientation. Iniesta positioned his body to receive on the back foot, opening his hips to face forward. This maximized his passing options and made it difficult for defenders to predict his next move. Fourth, La Croqueta. This signature move involved dragging the ball from one foot to another while shifting his body weight. It was devastatingly effective because it created separation from defenders in tight spaces without requiring much room. Fifth, his press resistance. Iniesta could receive passes in congested areas under pressure from multiple defenders and still maintain possession. His first touch, body strength, and awareness made him nearly impossible to dispossess. Sixth, his combination play. Iniesta excelled at 1-2s, third-man runs, and intricate passing sequences. He understood spacing, timing, and how to exploit defensive disorganization. Seventh, his final third penetration. Unlike many midfielders who recycled possession, Iniesta constantly looked to break defensive lines with forward passes or dribbles. He was the link between Barcelona's midfield control and their attacking output. Coaches who studied Iniesta's game emphasized his movement off the ball as much as his skill on it. He created space through intelligent runs, occupied defenders with decoy movements, and always made himself available for the pass. Chapter 16. Comparisons and Contemporaries. Iniesta played during a golden age of midfielders. How did he compare to his contemporaries? Xavi Hernandez, his Barcelona and Spain partner, was the perfect complement. Xavi was the metronome, setting tempo and distributing from deep. Iniesta was the progression, taking the ball from midfield into attack. Together, they were unstoppable. Andrea Pirlo, the Italian maestro, shared Iniesta's elegance, but played deeper as a regista. Both were artists, but Pirlo painted from midfield while Iniesta painted closer to goal. Zinedine Zidane, who many compare to Iniesta, was more physical, more imposing. Zidane dominated games through presence and power, Iniesta through subtlety and intelligence. Both were clutch performers on the biggest stages. Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard were more goal-oriented box-to-box midfielders. Both scored far more than Iniesta, but lacked his press resistance and positional discipline. Wesley Sneijder and Luka Modric are perhaps the closest stylistic comparisons. Creative midfielders who combine defensive work with attacking flair. Modric, in particular, shares Iniesta's ability to control games through intelligence rather than athleticism. Ultimately, Iniesta was unique. No midfielder combined his technical perfection, tactical intelligence, mental strength, and big game performance quite like he did. He was sui generis, one of a kind. Chapter 17: Legacy and Influence. Andrés Iniesta's influence on modern football cannot be overstated. He proved that size doesn't determine success. In an era of increasingly athletic, physical football, Iniesta showed that technique, intelligence, and vision could overcome physical limitations. This inspired countless young players who were told they were too small. He exemplified the Barcelona philosophy. More than any player except perhaps Lionel Messi, Iniesta embodied what it meant to play the Barcelona way. He was La Masia's ultimate product. Proof that the academy's methods produced not just good players, but special ones. He helped Spain achieve unprecedented success. Without Iniesta's contributions, Spain doesn't win 3 consecutive tournaments. His World Cup final goal will be replayed for generations, forever linking him to Spanish football's greatest achievement. He influenced tactical evolution. Iniesta's success as an interior midfielder helped popularize the position. Modern systems increasingly feature players who operate in half spaces, receiving between the lines, precisely where Iniesta thrived. He maintained humility in an ego-driven sport. In an era of self-promotion and controversy, Iniesta remained grounded, respectful, and focused on team success. He became a role model not just for his skill, but for his character. Young players studying Iniesta's game learn valuable lessons. That intelligence beats athleticism, that simplicity is sophisticated, that the right pass is better than the spectacular one, that team success trumps individual glory. Chapter 18: The Philosophy of El Ilusionista. What drove Andrés Iniesta? What philosophy guided his remarkable career? In interviews, Iniesta consistently emphasized several themes. First, love for the game. He played with joy, with passion, with pure love for football. This was never just a job but a calling. Second, respect. Respect for opponents, for teammates, for coaches, for the game itself. He never dived, never complained, never disrespected anyone. This earned him universal admiration. Third, team-first mentality. Iniesta never sought personal glory. If the team won, he was happy. His celebrations were always about collective achievement. Fourth, continuous improvement. Even at his peak, Iniesta worked to improve. He studied opponents, refined his technique, adapted his game as he aged. Fifth, gratitude. Iniesta never forgot where he came from. He remained connected to Fuentealbilla, to his family, to his roots. Success never changed his fundamental character. Sixth, mental strength. Despite his quiet demeanor, Iniesta possessed iron will. His biggest goals came in the most pressurized moments. His response to depression showed courage and resilience. These principles created a career defined not just by trophies, but by meaning. Iniesta played football the right way, with skill, intelligence, and honor. Chapter 19: Retirement and Beyond. On October 8, 2024, at age 40, Andrés Iniesta announced his retirement from professional football. The news was expected, yet still emotional for football fans worldwide. His retirement press conference was characteristically humble. He thanked everyone who had supported him, from his family to his coaches, to his teammates, to the fans. He shed tears as he reflected on his journey from Fuentealbilla to world champion. Tributes poured in from across football. Lionel Messi called him one of the most magical teammates. Pep Guardiola said he was the most complete midfielder I ever saw. Vicente del Bosque stated simply, "Without Iniesta, Spain doesn't win the World Cup." What's next for Iniesta? Coaching seems likely. He's expressed interest in management and would bring immense knowledge to the role. Perhaps he'll return to Barcelona, where his legacy is forever secure. Business ventures will continue. His wine label is successful, and he has various endorsement deals and investments. But those who know Iniesta understand that money was never his motivation. Most importantly, he'll focus on family. After years of travel and competition, he can finally enjoy time with his wife and children, watching them grow, being present in ways his career sometimes prevented. But Iniesta's true legacy is already written. He changed football, inspired millions, and achieved everything possible in the sport. He did it with grace, humility, and unparalleled skill. Closing sequence. They called him El Ilusionista, the illusionist, because he made the impossible look effortless, because he saw passes that didn't exist, because he moved through defences like smoke through fingers. They called him Don Andrés, a term of respect usually reserved for much older gentlemen, because his football wisdom belied his age, because he carried himself with dignity, because he earned admiration from everyone who encountered him. They called him the Pale Knight, La Mancha's pale-skinned warrior, because he came from La Mancha like Don Quixote, because he conquered windmills that others said couldn't be conquered, because his journey was as epic as any literary hero's. But perhaps the best description came from Sir Alex Ferguson, who said, "I believe Iniesta is one of the greatest players in the history of football. He is the complete footballer. He can defend, he can attack, he can score goals, and he can create. But most of all, he makes everyone around him better." On that night in Johannesburg on July 11th, 2010, in the 116th minute of the World Cup final, Andrés Iniesta didn't just score a goal. He scored the goal, the moment that defined a generation, that crowned a golden age, that proved dreams from dusty Spanish towns can come true on football's grandest stage. From Fuentealbilla to Soccer City, from La Masia to world champion, from the boy who cried homesick tears to the man who made an entire nation cry tears of joy. This was the story of Andrés Iniesta Lujan, footballer, artist, champion, legend.